Okay, that's it recording now.
Okay, thank you. So thanks everyone for coming along today. We're looking at an introduction to Pure profiles. That is what you will see when you log into Pure and also what others will see when they visit our publicly accessible pages. There's a very quick introduction about what Pure offers for researchers. And that is a compiled and validated view of your research coming from our internal systems and also from our external sources. Pure as a system offers central support both from the library and also from the research and innovation teams. And there are automatic processes that happen within the system as well. Talking about those online profiles and those public profiles, those are customizable and discoverable. Hopefully they will lead to enhanced discoverability for your research and also potential collaborations for you, other researchers, and potential students out there as well. There are a number of links that share across staff pages, pages for research groups, research centres, and also linking out to some of the external services that you will see when we look at the public profile later on. From Pure, you can also take the information out and create reports or customized CV style extracts. And these can be used in reviews, in promotion applications, and that data automatically updates as you update it in Pure. If you choose to move on from the University of Aberdeen, you can also take your information with you, be that through the ORCID export or through extracting files and sharing them with your new institution. And that also works in reverse as well. If you're new to the University of Aberdeen, you can bring your information in through these files or through the existing connections with ORCID. When you look at your personal overview, the top image there is of what you would see internally, and the bottom image is a snippet, if you like, from what we would see externally. We're going to look briefly at what it looks like inside of Pure, and then we'll move to the outside of Pure as well. When you look at your profile, it breaks it down into a number of categories: research outputs, activities, impacts, etc. And those categories can be further broken down into subcategories, so the types of research outputs as well. It also summarizes active projects. I've blurred this obviously because this is sensitive information to the people this refers to, but any of your projects would be visible there, and you can see a timeline and a time range. And it also provides on your personal profile a summary of your applications, awards, and projects where they are ongoing or active. You can also see in your internal Pure profile your supervision. This covers your current staff, current students, I should say, and also former students. It also looks at the co-authorships and the organizational affiliations and showcases where you have been most active in these areas, the top organization or the top co-authorship. And as part of that, it also looks at your research network. Again, some of this information is blurred, but it's just as a flavor, if you like, of what you'll see. We're now going to go into Pure itself, and we'll look at that in more detail. So this is inside of Pure. This is our test system, so we can do all sorts of different bits and pieces in here as part of today's demonstration. And you'll see that it has your name, or my name in this instance, a link out to any connected ORCIDs, research outputs and activities, those kind of categories and subcategories. And if you click on the overall totals, it will take you to a list of those. If you click on the subtotals, it will take you directly to those items. Here is an example of some projects. This particular one has finished over here, but this particular one is active, and that's reflected down here. It says there's 2 projects on this record, but only 1 is active. And of that, there's an active amount of award running on that particular. And then when I scroll down, I can see current students related, what degree they're doing, what program year they're in, and what supervision. Again, this is just test data, so we've taken rough information. This is the network here, and this is set up of all the content. So if I scroll back up, all of the projects, all of the research outputs, all the media, all the data sets combined together in this research network image, just to say where you're connected to, and what those links are. And you can also click on these and go direct to those particular items. And it will pick up the top organizational affiliation for those particular research outputs. In this case, it's business development. So that's what it looks like inside of Pure. We'll talk briefly now about what we can do with that information and how we can change it and update it. We can make our names sort of reflect our research profiles more easily. So very often you might have a middle name that you don't use in publishing or a middle name that you do use in publishing, and that can be updated. We can add a range of IDs to improve our search results with our automatic searches. We can connect to ORCID if we haven't already done so. We can add images, and we can also add links to research websites. We can enrich our biography. We can add information about external positions. We can engage with the UN Sustainable Goals by adding keywords to our profile. And importantly, we can set our profile visibility. If we set it to back end, then we're restricting our presence both on the portal and on staff pages. And if we set that to public, then we're sharing that information across those connected sites, the portal, staff pages, page groups for research centers or research groups. So the next demonstration is going to be on how to connect your ORCID, how to utilize that ORCID connection, and how to add those IDs and personalize those profiles. So let's crack on. And we'll go back into where we were. And we'll see up here that we've got edit profile. So this is where I'm going to go now, just to update and enrich the profile that's on the Pure system when it eventually loads up. Here we go. So we can see there's a lot of information that has come through from HR. I'm just going to make this slightly larger. My name and my gender has come through from HR, but not my nationality or date of birth. I can change all of those things if I want to. My designation, if I receive a sort of doctorate, I can update that particular title, although that is also fed through from HR. Employee IDs and information, Scopus author ID. So if I didn't have this here already, I could add this and I could select Scopus author ID. If I knew it, I could type it in. If I didn't, I could click on find my ID and that will come up. Obviously, my particular name, because I'm not an active researcher, is not finding any Scopus results, but it would do for your name. So we can do that. We can also create and connect an ORCID. So if I take this particular number and remove these details, if I don't have an ORCID active, then I can create and connect that ORCID. And I can proceed out to the ORCID site. And this is what I will get. I will be asked to sign in to ORCID and authorize that connection. And that allows the flow of data to go between Pure and ORCID. So I'll come back to the profile and make that larger. So you can see there's a range of photographs or images that I've used on here. And these can be displayed up at the profile site. So if I move this particular one up as my profile choice, then that is the one that will be chosen. So you can have a range of images that you use here. You can add a series of links. So if you have a web account or a blog that you utilize regularly to share your research, in this instance, just for test, I will put in the BBC and add that. And that will then show on my profile once I update that. I can add more profile information. So you'll see here there's a research profile, various tests. If I want to add more to a biography, I can select that. And then whatever text I enter is what will be displayed. My employment information is taken through from HR. Supervision information is taken through from student records, but I can add things around education, qualifications. I can connect myself to the Sustainable Development Goals, and we'll see more of that in a moment. But if I click on gender equality there, any other keywords that represent your research or areas of expertise can be used. None of these are mandatory. This is all about enriching the content that is here. And then we come to visibility. This is about whether you want to be public or not. So if you set this to public, you will basically be seeing, sharing that information across the various sites. So we can set that to public and we can click on save. So when that closes, that will refresh and you can see there's a new image that has been picked here, and the orchid has disappeared because I took that out, but it would be there in the profile had I connected that. So that's the idea of enriching your profile. We'll come back to the next set of the demonstration where we look at how we can manage what is seen publicly. And this is about the public portal, the Pure portal. So we can also, through that edit profile section, we can manage what the profile shares through the portal. We can hide various collaborations, we can hide affiliations, and we can hide if we're wanting to be contacted about research expertise. We can also showcase. So as well as saying, I don't want to see this, you can also say, I do want to see this. So you can actually highlight a range of items there as well, although they do need to be public. So this is talking about your visibility, but also the individual records visibility as well. And you can also edit the concepts or fingerprints, as the terminology in the system is, and that more accurately reflects your research topics on the portal. So let's dive back into Pure through our demonstration. Click on Edit Profile once again. And this time we're using our menus down here. We're not interested in the main section this time. We're interested in how we use our sidebars, our profile portals. I'll make that slightly larger. So when we click on Portal Profile, we can say we want to share the map or we want to share about experts. The collaboration map is taken from your research publications. So if you're publishing in the UK, then you will have, predominantly in the UK, you will have a stronger dot on the UK map. If you're publishing globally, then that collaboration map will show all of the dots in the global areas. So if your research is UK focused, you might want to switch the map off just to give you more space to display your research items. Then we move into highlighted content. And if we've got research outputs, we can add them here. If we've got activities, we can add them there. And then these are the things that will be promoted. They will appear at the top of your search list anytime you come to the portal. You can also click on your fingerprints here, and any concepts that are driven, and this is probably not a great example because the research output is hidden. So let me find an example of our vice principal just now. And we'll look at those fingerprints for Marion. So we'll edit Marion's profile, click on fingerprints. And here we can see those particular concepts. So if we feel that these concepts accurately reflect our research, we can leave them there. But if there's any particular issues around a particular word, so perhaps knee is not as reflective as we would like it to be, we can click on that and we can remove it from the list. And that will sit here in the omitted concepts until we decide to look at it again or review it again. And perhaps when we review it later, we think actually it can go back in. And you can take out as many, I'll just remind you, this is the test system, so we're not making any actual changes to Pure, but you can take out as many concepts as you like, and you can pop them back in at a later date. If there's a whole range of concepts that you think, actually, I only want medicine to be displayed, or I only want social sciences displayed, you can actually switch off a whole range. So if I switch off the medicine and life sciences concepts, I am left just with the social sciences concepts. So this is just a way that you can navigate through these fingerprints or these concepts and make them more relevant to your research. So we'll come back. We've covered all of the updating your profile, highlighting your content, and editing your concepts. So we're coming now to the public side. So this is everything that you could see and edit inside of Pure. And now we want to look at what is available outside and what the public will see when we look at our research. So again, we'll come back to these sites. So this is the public facing side of Pure. This is the portal. You can see that there are a range of profiles, there's a range of disciplines. This is all of our schools and our research centres, all of the research output that has been made public, our research facilities, our data sets that have been made public and shared as a catalogue and also as actual files. Impact, so research impact, and a range of other things as well, so activities, press media, prizes, etc. When we looked at the Sustainable Development Goals, when we added ourselves with concepts, if I click on the no poverty one, for example, then 4 people have chosen to add the keyword concept for poverty or no poverty on their profile, and the 64 research outputs that are connected with that. More so for good health and well-being, and even more again for climate action or things like life below water. So these are all the connections that can be made, and people can drill through into each of these. This is the collaboration map that we talked about switching things on and off. This is for the university as a whole, but it also applies for individual researchers. And here are the keyword concepts that we spoke about as well. Again, this is for the university as a whole, overall keywords, but it also applies to the individual researcher. And then you can see the various schools. So if we come now and look at a profile and an individual, and let's pick somebody who has a picture. Here we go. We can see that it displays the person's picture. It displays a connection to ORCID where that has been set up. It displays links that have been added to that person's profile, all the fingerprints that that person has chosen to include or exclude, the network that that person has, so their international collaborations. You can see that the map is slightly different for an individual, but still reflects the research reach and the geographic interests. Also the research output here as well, and the different subtypes. And these are the connections that we spoke about to external sites. So we have connections to Plumex and we have connections to Altmetric about all the activity that's being undertaken through social media captures, through tweets and retweets, and also engagement with policy blogs as well. So that's a very quick summary of the Pure portal. The information from the portal also feeds out to Aura, and you can see the school connections there, the author connections, the issues, and if we look at an individual, we can see all of the individual items that are there. So any full text items that have come from Pure are out into Aura by school, by individual, by issue date, by author, and by title for you to search. And information also feeds out from Pure to the staff directory. So if we have a look at Marion again, then we will find somewhere on this particular list. There we are. There's Marion Campbell. And these listings, these publication listings are driven from Pure. So all of these 218 publications that belong on Marion's staff page can be filtered or refined by chapters and books and contribution to conferences, etc., all the articles, and they also contain those links, and that's driven by the information that's in Pure. So if you make your content visible, you will have this connection to your publications, and if you make your publications visible, then all of these will appear out here with their various connections to Aura or to the journal DOI or connection there. If your publications are not listed here, then if we go back to Marion's profile down here, if I go to, sorry, scrolling quite quickly, if I go to my own profile, then I can update and connect that. So I am here. And if I click on update, so it's this update button that you're looking for on your staff page. If I click on update and I log in, then what I'm looking for is the research and the publications. So my publications is where I want to share that information. And I can say, do you want to display, and do you want to display the latest? So it's this area here that makes that connection, that joins Pure and staff pages together. So if you've got any questions about connecting your staff pages, then we're very happy to answer that as well. So that's a very quick run through of the various portal and profiles issues. And if there are any questions, we've hopefully left enough time to cover that as well. I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you.
Thank you. I am going to stop recording. Find it.